Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, let's talk about what has happened today, what we can expect moving into the rest of the week, and especially tomorrow as well. Tomorrow is another big important day. But yeah, with all that being said, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button as it does help a lot. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below. If you're interested, $3 a month in the description, of course, where I get, I share my intraday thoughts on Tesla throughout the day as it's trading. A lot of thoughts today, a lot of posts today as well, because there was a lot of action that was important action as well. But yeah, the link is below. If you're interested, definitely check it out. But let's just dive into it. So today, Tesla closing in just about a minute or so here. Looking like we'll be closing down on the day, unfortunately, 1.2%, which compared to the market itself is obviously an underperformance. However, you want to take a look at the actual overall picture for Tesla here. And it's pretty important to understand what is happening here. Just about a minute left here. But obviously, we had a bear trap, right? We had a bear trap. This is what I was telling my members about. We've been talking about this being a bear trap for pretty much the whole day. And I also even yesterday said right here, big day tomorrow with CPI. Remember that traps exist. It's not only about breaking down below a level, but closing below as well. That's exactly what happened today, right? As we ended up having a pretty, obviously, a pretty much of a bear trap right talking about here. This could still be a bear trap. Depends on if we close below the channel or not. Clearly, we did not, right? So I've been telling them that this could be a bear trap. I did even enter a position here. I don't actually say my position. Sometimes I'll mention that I'll enter a bullish position when I'm feeling like really confident, but for instance right here, right? But the point is that today's idea was the fact that there's a very real possibility of this being a bear trap, and clearly it was, right? We ended up moving all the way down to about what is this, 233.8 roughly, which is where the 50-day moving average is. Then we bounced almost perfectly off of it, like almost to the T. Like it's just, you couldn't ask for a better bounce right off that 50-day moving average, which is beautiful stuff, right? So that was good. But we talked about how, this is why I always say this on video to my members. It's not just about breaking down or breaking out. It's not about breaking out of a certain area. That's just step number one. And that's arguably the easiest step. The most important step, at least in my opinion, is obviously, well, breaking out is still important, but closing on the breakout. So in this case, for instance, the bears really wanted to close below the channel and below the 21 EMA. They failed to do that. And on top of that, even probably more important is the hold, right? What happens tomorrow? What happens the day after, right? I have about a 2 to 3 day rule. So pretty much what I'd want to be seeing moving forward is pretty simple. First and foremost, we obviously had a bear trap. We ended up closing above the 50-day moving average, above the 21 EMA, which was really, really important to me. And of course, we ended up closing back into the channel. We never closed outside of the channel. Great. Well, tomorrow, PPI and JPOW, right? I believe JPOW. What I'd want to see, at least from the bullish perspective, is pretty much, I don't want to see a close below the 21 EMA and below the channel, which is going to be pretty much around the same level, which is pretty much right now sitting at just shy of 237 per share, right? That's the most important thing I don't want to see. Again, breaking below is a different story. Breaking below is fine. In theory, as you can see, that's what happened today, right? I ended up obviously also buying the dip. I did sell some of it just in case, just in case. But I don't want to see break below tomorrow and close below. That's the most important part, right? That's going to be super, super vital that we do not do that tomorrow. And as long as we don't, this is looking good, because false breakouts are also pretty bad for that respective direction. So in this case, since this was a false bearish breakdown, right? Since this bearish breakdown was false, it ended up essentially catching itself back up and entering back into the channel and above the 21 EMA. That's not ideal for the bears, right? The bears really fumbled the ball here. They really, really wanted to close it, and they had a pretty darn good shot at starting to make the bear thesis look convincing, at least somewhat convincing. They failed to do that, right? So that's going to be the kind of important thing I'm looking at. This is sometimes all I do is I look at really simple things, right? I don't have like a million indicators, right? Sometimes I just have a few important moving averages, a couple of patterns that I'm noticing that I like, and of course, just looking at daily candles and price action, right? And that's sometimes all it takes. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. So tomorrow, very, very important. Tomorrow, I'd really want to see how we overall play this out, how the market essentially reacts to JPOW, how that all moves together, right? You can also make the argument that we technically didn't even break out of, I don't know why this is not, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and do this, right? You can even make the argument that we never actually truly set a lower low on a closed candle, if you want to, be very forgiving here. But, if you touch the very edge of these overall lows over here, technically we closed above that as well. So not too bad. Even if you kind of just barely touch it like this, still technically close within it as well. So a very nice looking recovery for Tesla here so far. So that's the main things that I'm looking at, right? Let me just double check to make sure nothing super duper important that I mentioned, but pretty much today was like a day trading-ish day. I was talking a lot about constant, updates to the chart as it was trading. Yeah, pretty much it was a lot of like very quick updates as we're moving to really assess whether or not we're breaking down or this is a bear trap. So that's, just to put it simply, is the main thing I'm looking at, right? Obviously, we can take a look at other things. Like, for instance, we still have the 100-day moving average above us, which will still act as a resistance if we do actually get a beautiful bounce off of tomorrow's PPI data and or JPOW, right? Which is possible because the market itself is looking bullish. It's ripping. It's setting higher highs. It's looking bullish. Like, it's overextended. It absolutely is overextended. But man, it's hard to look at this and be like, I'm going to short this. Like, it really is. Like, it's just hard to look at this and be like, I'm buying puts right here, right now. It's just looking ridiculously strong. Like, it really is. Like, it's just unstoppable looking market. Unfortunately, Tesla isn't really following the market very well, which kind of sucks. But assuming it wants to eventually follow the market, Tesla will have a beautiful run, at least in my opinion, as well. So just take that for what it's worth as well, right? But that's kind of the main things I'm looking at. We still have the squeeze indicator, I'm assuming, at least, right? On the daily, we actually have a squeeze indicator. So if I go ahead and zoom in like this, you can see, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squeeze indicators, or rather red circles, which is obviously signaling a squeeze is building up, right? A big move is building up. And today was an important day. This squeeze indicator could have actually been validated today with the bearish breakdown if it actually did break down and close below. And that could have pretty much made the squeeze happen maybe tomorrow, let's say, for instance. But the fact that it didn't means that the squeeze is still in play and it could still very well be to the upside for the bulls. Going to the weekly, same idea. Still got red circles here, still having a pretty tight squeeze, right? A lot of momentum building up, still looking like we're hanging on the weekly, as you can see. Let me remove this for now, right? On the weekly, we're still hanging on to that 100-day moving average and the 21 EMA. We also did break below it today ever so slightly, like we did with these candles here, but we're also holding above it on the weekly. So I don't know, man. Tesla's still looking good. Like, I know it's weird. I know it sounds like a lot of people want it to crash, right? A lot of people really do want it to fall back down to at least 200, if not lower. But it's still not looking bad. And especially with the false breakdown today and the recovery back into the channel, arguably both channels, like the blue channel and the ascending triangle, and above the 21 EMA, it's really not looking bad. Like, it truly, truly isn't. So I'd be careful here if I was a bear. Like, I really would. Obviously, things can change till tomorrow. Tomorrow's a pretty big day. Like, we're still technically on thin ice. Don't get me wrong. It's not just a complete and utter victory for bulls, but man, they did really come back where it counted today, which is really, really good. So I'd be really careful if I was a bear, at least in my opinion, until there's a bigger confirmation for a breakdown, like, again, closing below the 21 EMA, below the double channel, which is pretty much really below 236 if you want to be extra safe about it, if we close like that tomorrow or something like that. But if we don't, and if we really start to rally tomorrow instead, I'd be really careful as a bear, man. I really, really would. This is like not territory I wouldn't want to be shorting here, I guess is what I'm trying to say, unless there's something a bit more convincing, right? But I also wouldn't want to be just a bull, just completely getting overconfident and cocky as well. So we're in a pretty tight situation. We're on thin ice, but tomorrow it should be yet another important day that should dictate this even further with JPOW and PPI. So I'll be waiting for that. And I think tomorrow will hopefully give us an even better picture, because right now the bulls, in my opinion, can call this day a victory, a W, but there's still work to be done for the bulls as well. And it is still looking like it's anyone's game. Overall on thin ice, but again, I do think the bulls still have a slight upper hand here regardless. So that's the main thing I'm looking at right now, and the main thing I'm expecting. The one thing I am a little bit worried about is if the market does decide to finally pull back at some point, how will that affect Tesla? Is Tesla just going to continue doing the opposite as it likes to usually do? Or, will it just follow the market? And if the market corrects and Tesla just follows the market, well, that's going to trigger the bearish scenario for sure. So there's still some work to be done, but I think tomorrow should give us a bit of a clearer picture personally. So I'll be waiting for that. I'll be updating my members as well, and of course I'll make the video update you all here as well after tomorrow's update, or after tomorrow's price action. So yeah, that's the main thing I'm looking at. Obviously we have things like the volume profile, which we're barely hanging on, right? You can see the volume definitely dropped severely once we entered, really enter the low 230s, and especially below 230 the volume really drops. So we're barely hanging on with the volume here as well, which is really important to understand. So we're in an interesting situation here. We're in a situation where it really can go either way. I know it's that infamous it can go up or down, thing with stocks and trading, but I think tomorrow should give us a better picture. So I'll be waiting for that. And I'm not entering anything too crazy. I'm not selling calls. I'm not selling puts. I'm just scalping ever so slightly. And I think tomorrow should give me a better idea. So all that being said and done, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. And as usual, I will see you tomorrow. Peace.